the channel. On today's menu, we've got the Snowbike. We're gonna be putting on this kit right here, the AirPro fork bottoming kit. I'll leave a link down in the description to that company right there, AirPro. I've heard a lot of good things, seen a lot of good things, and since I've got my 2014 Honda CRF 450, got the air fork set up front. Some people like them, some people hate them, some people can't tell the difference. But it's a whole different ball game once you get out in the snow and you're adding tons of weight to your bike and then launching that off a jump and landing in some deep pow. You don't want these things bottoming out, blowing out your fork seals. So today we're just gonna install it. Won't be till later in the year that I'll actually get to test it. So hopefully it works great, don't have any issues. Probably do a little review of my whole setup at the end of the year. And one last thing before we get started here, link down in the description to Wild Moto Shop. Cool decals there, probably a couple extra little things you can check out. That's just a simple way for you guys to support this channel, also get something in return. So check it out. Now, let's get into this install. So step number one, get the old bar pad out of the way. Whether you got a zip tie or a little clip up there, go ahead and cut that. So I've got this this Lotworks light bar mounted up right here, and that mounts up into the bar clamps here. I don't think, I mean, it's gonna make things tight up in here, but I don't think it's gonna be interfering with anything. And then from here you should have a few like 8mm bolts holding the number plate on. Now, just so that I can get you guys a good view of everything that's going on here, I'm gonna pop my light bar off, and hopefully it'll make things not so clustered up here. So next we're gonna go ahead and mount our AirPro bracket. That's the bottom piece here. The manifold should already be attached. As you can see, you can move it, I'd say, looks like a little bit more than an inch. You can go one way or the other. Just to clear anything you have here, clear the front number plate. I'm just gonna secure it all the way back like that. And then it faces this way with the flat part of the bracket, just like so. And then the provided hardware, the new 8mm bolts. We'll secure this in here. Next, go ahead, remove the caps on our forks here. And with this, you're gonna want your bike up on a stand so that you can release all the air out and your front forks don't drop to the ground there. And just go ahead and release all the air out of here. So once that's done, we need to remove both brass valve stem assembly. And they're a 10mm. Now you install the AirPro fittings. And with each fitting, since they do have this extended top part, you will most certainly need a deep well socket. And also just make sure that these little O-rings here haven't fallen off for some reason. Okay, so we have our two fittings in there. Now it says just to tighten them snug. I imagine you can probably strip those out pretty easy, and the top of the forks would not want to do that. But there is no specific torque. Now we've got our air lines here. Obviously they're about twice the length, and that's just so you can do whatever you want with them. You can trim them if need be. What I'm gonna do is just max this out as much as possible. I'm gonna seat those in there. You just have to feel them, push them in there till they bottom out, and then pull back on them, make sure that it's secure. You want super sharp scissors so that you don't have some weird gnarly edge. Make sure that it's straight across. And then with that one, do the same. Push it in there as far as you can, make sure it bottoms out. Pull back, make sure there's no movement or anything. So we're solid there. Same with the other side. Push that in there, insert that in, make sure it bottoms out. And so there I'll have clearance with the lines. It's not like terrible amount of excess, but it gives it enough to, you know, flex, get pushed out of the way, so it's not super rigid or anything. Real quick, I was doing some test fitting here. That's about what it would be like with my light bar mounted on there. I'm gonna see real quick here. if we flip this guy around, so if we do that, then I've got my headlight mounted up here, and then you might not be able to see it there, but I can have super easy access to it just right through there. So I think that's the route I'm gonna go. So if anything, I could shorten these guys up. So I think that's the route I'm gonna go. Now AirPro, they do provide a second set of these air hoses here. So, you know, if I do wanna switch it, I can just go ahead and use those ones. There we go. Perfect. So now we've got our setup all dialed in. Now you can go ahead and use a hand pump to put air into here. Make sure that there's no leaks, make sure that it's holding air and no components are messed up, leaking, everything fits well. I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put 15 PSI in here because I have just a stock spring setup that comes with the 2014 Honda CRF 450. So I'm gonna start out at 15 PSI, let it sit, make sure everything's holding air, and then I'll toss everything back together. So there we go, we're sitting at 14.5. So we'll stick with that. So here's what our setup is looking like, all buttoned up. Got access to that right in between the light bar and the bar pad there. Should be able to get a hand pump perfectly down in there. It's also protected, and as you can see on this side, hidden nicely in there. So pretty clean setup. I've got to do a lot of testing this winter, find out what works, what doesn't. And like I said, just starting with 15 PSI in here, and we'll go from there. I gotta wait for snow to fly so I can actually test all this stuff out, get it all dialed in. So there it is, super quick install of the AirPro fork bottoming kit. It looks really nice. I've read on a lot of forums that it works really nice too, so hopefully I can get it dialed in for my bike and it'll help me out a ton. From what I understand, 15 PSI is kind of a baseline to go off of. And essentially with snow biking, what you want to have is as stiff as possible up front. So that's what we'll go for. If you want, check out airprofork.com. I don't have a discount code for you, but maybe they're running some type of sale. It's not, you know, it's not the priciest of dirt bike products, but I think it's $169. I think that's what it runs. So, you know, it's worth it if you're gonna go with this as opposed to getting springs and the entire suspension completely redone, because that can cost upwards of $600, $700, $800, and that's, you know, start of the snow season, and then go back to your previous valving the start of summer season. So hopefully it's going to be a really good option for me to get these forks dialed in for snow biking, and then turn around in the summertime and get them dialed in for technical trail riding. So like I said earlier, I'll leave all the links down in the description. Check them out, along with the Wild Moto Shop. Check that out as well. If you're interested in any and all things moto, go ahead and subscribe. I'll have plenty more content involving installs on this snow bike, as well as builds over the winter. And then on top of that, I'll have plenty of riding videos as well. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to comment, be sure to like, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. That's all I got for you. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.